Hello again, this is Mr. Bouchon from Lake Central, getting ready to write equations in slope-intercept form. Just as a review, let's go back and talk about the different aspects of slope-intercept form. M stands for the slope. That's the steepness of the line. And keep in mind, it is a number. The number will give you the slope. And whatever the slope is for any part of the line, it's consistent and constant throughout the entire line. B is the Y-intercept. There is only one number for the Y-intercept, and this is where it crosses the Y-axis. Again, only a single number. X and Y, though, represent all the points, the coordinates of all the points on the line. Now there's an infinite number of points on a line, but there is only one slope and there is only one y-intercept. So here's how we're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Step A, step B, and step C. Keep track of where you are entirely throughout the process, and it'll make solving these so much easier. Step A, what you're always going to do first is find the slope. Now, there are several different ways you can find the slope. Sometimes it could be even given in the problem. Sometimes we might use the graph. And if we're looking at a graph, we're going to be looking at rise over run. And then sometimes you're going to be using 2 points. And when you're using 2 points, you're going to be figuring M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. There are other ways you can find the slope given other situations, but we're only going to talk about those 3 today. And actually not even talking about the graph. We're not going to be talking about the graphs and rise over run today. And the problems that we're going to be talking about, the slope is already given, or we're going to have to figure it from 2 points. Now step B, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be finding the y-intercept. Now, again, like in the slope, it could be given in the problem. If it is, excellent. If it's not, then we're going to have to figure it out. And to do that, we are going to be starting with y equals mx plus b. After we find those 2 things, we can find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Let's look at number 1. A line has a slope of 5 and passes through the point -1, -3. Well, in step A, we're supposed to find the slope. So here it is. The slope is 5. Write down m is equal to 5. Step B, the y-intercept is not given. When it's not given, we need to start with y equals mx plus b. And then we're going to plug in the coordinates of the point -1, -3 along with the slope 5, and we'll be able to solve for b. So y is equal to -3 is equal to 5 times -1 plus b. -3 is equal to -5 plus b. Adding 5 to both sides, we get b is equal to 2. So y is equal to 5x plus 2. In number 2, the slope is equal to -3/4. Please write that down. In step B, again, the y-intercept is not given, so we're going to have to figure it out. So start with y equals mx plus b. Plug in the 2 for the y equals -3/4 times -8 plus b. 2 is equal to 6 plus b. Subtracting 6 from both sides, b is equal to -4. Y equals -3/4 x minus 4. Now in number 3, we're going to have to do a little bit more work than we did on the previous 2. Here we're given 2 points. The slope is not given. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our formula for finding the slope. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now in this point, for these 2 points, 4, -1 and -6, 4, x1 is here, y1 is here. That's the x coordinate of the first point and the y coordinate of the first point. Here we have the x coordinate of the second point and the y coordinate of the second point. I'm going to be taking 4 minus -1. It's going to be this 4 minus this -1. And then that will be over -6 minus 4. 4 minus -1 is 5. -6 minus 4 is -10. Please reduce all fractions to simplest terms. -1/2. That's our slope. To find the y-intercept, remember the slope for any line is consistent and constant throughout the entire line, so it doesn't matter which point we use. The slope is going to be -1/2. So I'm going to be starting with y equals mx plus b. And I'm only going to be using the first point because it's first. We could use the second point if we wanted to, but I'm going to put in -1 for the y equals -1/2 times 4 plus b, and I'm going to solve for b. -1 is equal to -2 plus b. Adding 2 to both sides, b is equal to +1. So your equation in slope-intercept form is y equals -1/2 x plus 1. In number 4, a line that passes through the points -1, -3, and 1, 1. Again, write down the formula for the slope. Take 1 minus -3. That'll be over 1 minus -1. 1 minus -3 is 4. 1 minus -1 is 2. The slope for this line is 2. The y-intercept is not given, so start with y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in the first point only because it's first, and I have -3 is equal to 2 times -1 plus b. -3 is equal to -2 plus b. Adding 2 to both sides, b is equal to -1. Your equation in slope-intercept form, y is equal to 2x minus 1. A line passing through the points -1, 6, and 3, -2, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I always start with a formula because all we have to do is plug in numbers and do the math. It'll be -2 minus 6 over 3 minus -1. -2 minus 6 is -8. 3 minus -1 is 4. The slope for this line is -2. Again, the y-intercept is not given. Y equals mx plus b. 6 is equal to -2 times -1 plus b. 6 is equal to 2 plus b. b is equal to 4. Y equals -2x plus 4. Now, number 6, class, we have here a couple of special points. Whenever you have 0 for the x-coordinate, that means you already have the y-intercept. And when you have the y being equal to 0 here, that means the -10 is the x-intercept. We just discussed this the last couple of days. These are your x and y intercepts. So we don't know the slope, though. We do have to figure that out. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 would be 0 minus, and then minus 16. Then we'll have -10 minus 0. That'll be -16 over -10. When you reduce this fraction, double negative is positive, it becomes 8/5. You can leave it as an improper fraction. Whenever x is equal to 0, you have your y-intercept. So basically, the y-intercept is given. It's 16. So you have your equation, y is equal to 8/5 x plus 16. The x-intercept in number 7 is 4. The y-intercept is -2. Now, this does not mean the slope is 4. It just means the x-intercept is 4. If the x-intercept is 4, the coordinates for that point are 4, 0. If the y-intercept is -2, that means the coordinates for this point are 0, -2, and this is what I use to find the slope. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to take a -2 minus 0 over 0 minus 4. We get -2 over -4, that's positive 1/2 for the slope. The y-intercept is -2, so b is equal to -2, and we have y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2. The x-intercept is -3 in number 8. That means we have the point -3, 0. And if the y-intercept is 5, that means we have the point 0, 5. So m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That'll be 5 minus 0 over 0 minus -3. 5 over 3, 5/3. The y-intercept is 5, so write down b is equal to 5. And we have y is equal to 5/3 x plus 5. The slope is -4. Please write it down. M is equal to -4. The y-intercept is 6. Write it down. B is equal to 6. You can write your equation. Y is equal to -4x plus 6. And lastly, the line that passes through the point 2, 1 and has a y-intercept of 3. Remember that the coordinates for that point are 0, 3. So I'll be able to use m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2, 3 minus 1 over 0 minus 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. 0 minus 2 is -2. That's equal to -1. It says the y-intercept is 3, so b is equal to 3. The equation in slope-intercept form, y is equal to the opposite of x plus 3. If you wrote y is equal to -1x plus 3, that's acceptable. Again, this is Mr. Bouchong talking about writing equations in slope-intercept form. I hope you picked up something from this, and we will be back and talk about other things in later subjects. Thank you.